What's happening, you guys? We're back. We're gonna do some plumbing today. All right, so continuing on the saga of getting the low cost to stop. We got the front calipers mounted last episode. We got the rear calipers mounted, ages ago. And we've had the master cylinders mounted ages ago. So now the task is we need to connect all those parts and fill them up with fluid and cross our fingers that the brakes work. So to do that, I've been collecting a whole bunch of parts over the last couple weeks, and we're gonna use those to do some plumbing. So starting at the back, we're gonna use kind of a mix of factory parts and kind of race car stuff. Mostly factory parts actually. So we went and got new factory brake lines for a 1996 Ford Explorer. So these have the banjo fitting on the one end, so this will go to the caliper. There's a piece of flexi line here that'll take up the caliper movement, and then it gets mounted right to the diff, so it's got this nice little tab. We'll build a tab onto the diff that we can weld on there, bolt this onto there, and then this little piece of flexi hose goes to the chassis. It's one of those ones that's designed to fit through a hole, and then you put a little clip on it, and then it goes straight to a 3/8 inverted flare. So we're gonna use this guy. We have another one for the other side that just goes to the caliper. Same thing, it's got a nice little tab on it. We'll build a little section of hard line that'll go between those guys, and then we're onto hard line on the chassis. We'll run just 3/16 hard line up to the master cylinder, and then the master cylinder actually came with these handy dandy converters that go from it's like a 37-degree AN flare to a standard 3/16 tube nut. So the rear end is mostly, well, it's all, I guess, like OEM stuff. All stuff you can buy at Napa, basically. The front's a little different. So the front's metric, first of all. So I had to get different banjo bolts for the front because they're M10s. The rears are some Imperial one. I don't actually have banjo bolts for the rear yet. But the front, starting at the caliper, we have this guy. So we have a banjo bolt on the caliper, an M10 banjo bolt, and I bought these little fittings. So these are a M10 banjo to a -3 AN. So what we'll be able to do is just bolt these right onto the calipers, and then I bought some -3 braided flexi line, and that will just bolt right up to that. And there we go. And then this will run to the chassis. This will take up all of our suspension movement as well as all of our steering movement. And on the chassis, I bought these little guys. Oh, I already got something threaded into it here, give me a second. I bought these little guys, and these are a -3 AN fitting to a standard 3/16 inverted flare. So we'll be able to bolt that guy on. Come on. Whatever, it goes on there. So then that'll go on the chassis, and it's actually designed too to have that, one of those funky little, you stick it through a hole and put a clip on it. So that'll be able to mount right to the chassis, and then we'll run hard line from that down to a T-block. So it's just a 3/16 T-block. That'll distribute to both front tires equally, and then we'll run from that guy, hard line, all the way up to our master cylinder, which has the same adapter fitting on it as the rears. So I think I have everything I need here. I got a big spool of hard line. Buying it in a coil is really nice because you get a whole bunch for really cheap, but it really sucks because you have to try to straighten it out. So I'm trying to straighten out a section right now for the rear, and then we can cut it and flare it and bend it and do all that fun stuff. So I've never done this before, so it's all learning, and good thing it's just brakes. So let's start with that. Let's try to get that rear line bent up. I got a bender, I got line, I got a flare tool that really sucks, but we'll give it a whirl. We'll see what happens. Let's get after it. Okay, slight change of plans. I need to do some fiddling with this to see if I can make it work. It's being a real pain in the butt. I feel like this hose doesn't have quite the right twist to it. So I'm gonna do that off camera though. So we're gonna press pause on the rear brake lines before even really getting started on them, and we're gonna do the fronts. There is our first brake line. It's a little tough for you guys to see, I'm sure. Bending it went okay. The bender that I have isn't actually for this size, it's actually for 1/4 inch. So I had to be a little bit careful, but it worked okay. So this guy here goes from our master cylinder on that end, it kind of loops around and then down through the tunnel. I'm gonna have to build like kind of a grommet bulkhead deal here. My thoughts are just a piece of weather stripping basically that this will travel through, comes down to our chassis rail, and then runs forward to, we'll put that T-block up at the front here. So next step is gonna be putting a flare on this guy, but I'm out of time today, so I'm gonna do some of this throughout the week, and then I'll catch up with you guys next weekend, give you an update on kinda where we're sitting. We'll see you then. And we're back. I totally forgot that I had to shoot this little outro. I edited the video up until here, and then I realized that I was talking about, you know, giving you guys an update. So I'm out in the shop. I don't have much time to work out here, so I'm just gonna give you guys a quick update as to what I got done over the last week. I have been working on the rear brakes, so let's take a peek at those. So over the last week, I got the rear brakes basically done. So we got our flexi line mounted. This is off of the Ford Explorer. This is a stock Ford part. In order to make it work though, what we did have to do is mount the driver's side flexi line on the passenger side and flip the block upside down. That's to allow these lines to be not at a really weird twisted angle. I think on the Ford Explorer, these actually get mounted kind of to a brake or to a spring perch. So that didn't really work. So in order to make these work, we had to flip them. So we got the driver's side mounted on the passenger side, and we got the passenger side mounted on the driver's side. And then we built these little tabs, so that we can bolt our flexi line pieces to there, and then we run hard line out of there. This hard line's not flared, I just kind of stuck it in there, but bent up a hard line crossover tube, so it goes both sides. I still have to build a little bracket to hold it here in the middle so it doesn't flop around the whole time. And then the next thing we need to do is mount our other piece of flexi line to the chassis somewhere right about there. That'll allow the axle to move up and down and still be connected to our brake system. And then that's where we'll run hard line from there up to the master cylinder. So that's the next step. So with that done, like I said, the next step is gonna be building a tab for those, these little things, these little hard line to soft line adapters, like what's on that rear brake hose. It's basically just a tab with a hole in it that you slide this through. And then I got some little like C-clips that go onto the parts. So I need to do that. I'm gonna do that over the next week. And then I also am having a hell of a time finding tube nuts. It's like they're unicorns. Everywhere I go and every parts store, I'm like, hey, you guys got 3/8 tube nuts or 3/16 tube nuts? And they're like, no, what are you talking about? So it seems like nobody does their own flaring anymore. It's turning into a dying art. Everybody just buys pre-flared brake lines and does the bending. But I want to do the flaring because I can buy big spools of brake line a lot cheaper. So I did find these little guys. So these are actually steel tube nuts. The ones that I got from Napa are brass. I probably shouldn't be using brass on a brake system. It'd be fine, and it is legal to do. And on this car, because I don't have power assisted brakes, I'll probably never be able to build up the line pressure to rip the threads out of a brass connection. But you should use steel on a brake system. It's stronger threads, less chance of tear out, and brakes are pretty critical. So I found these guys at Auto Value, but they only had 3. So the guy said that he can order some more in, so I'm gonna get him to order some more over the week, and then we'll do all the brake lines with steel tube nuts. So that'll be over the next week because I can't do anything about it now. I also did find one of these, this is another type of brake flaring tool. So originally I had this style, which is what I'm sure everybody has seen. It's got like 5 different sizes. It doesn't make a good flare on any of them. It's kind of garbage, but you can pick it up at Canadian Tire for like 30 bucks. I found this guy on Amazon. I think it was 80 bucks. This is like kind of a hammer style. You don't actually use it like a hammer, I just think it looks like a hammer. So this is a Titan 51, 53.5 brake flare tool. This is one size. So this is only for 3/16, but it makes way better flares. So I got that, so we're not gonna use that other one anymore. I am gonna shoot a video though, this is a good time to talk about it. I'm gonna shoot a video showing the differences between flaring with the kind of hammer style and this clamshell style flaring tool. But I'm gonna post that on Patreon because I started one of those. You guys have asked for it a couple times for me to start a Patreon. You guys want to get a little bit more involved in the build and help support what we do here. So I started a Patreon. I'll throw the link in the description below. If you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it. I will be posting some, some little videos up there. I'm gonna be posting a little bit more of the planning aspect of the car. I posted our brake line calculations up there so that if you are curious as to how I solve for what size of master cylinders I need, which are not the ones that I have on the car, that's up there. I'm gonna do things like this, like little tool review kind of stuff up on the Patreon. I'm still gonna continue to put these videos on YouTube, so don't worry about that, but it's just another way for you guys to support what we're doing here. So that's the plan. I am going to turn you guys off and build a couple tabs because it's way quicker to do it off camera, and I'll probably catch up with you guys in a couple weeks. So in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Go check us out on Instagram, Left Foot First Media, and we'll see you next time. I'm out of here.